Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.
Welcome to the Bottle Cat Media Podcast, episode number 7. It's just me and Jobby today.
Hello.
Oh, today, so we're going to try and do this thing every podcast where we try and drink different craft beer, try different breweries or different beers that the brewery carries. But today, we're trying out Indie Brewing Company's IPA Del Rey. They're based out of LA, specifically Boyle Heights. So if you're in town, check them out. I will leave the link in the description down below. So,
Yeah.
yummo. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Oh. So yeah, this is
Very good.
yeah, that's a good IPA. I just saw the Fit for a King thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. It's quite like you said before we recorded. It's quite pretentious,
Yeah.
but it's good.
Yeah.
It's pretentious with a reason.
Right. It's not like too warm, right?
No.
Like, it's
oh
okay.
no,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, Jobby,
Yes.
is there anything you've been watching recently? Watching, listening to, playing?
Copious amounts of hentai.
Really?
No. No. The serious answer is I haven't watched anything new. But I did rewatch some things. I have been watching, I guess, like supplementary content for something I played. So for a review that I'm doing very soon, I rewatched Zootopia to kind of get like an idea of what the movie was, because I only watched it once before. And what happened? Oh, okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
It's a good movie.
I'd like to believe you.
I know.
And I'm sure it is. And Jobby, I watch your videos, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm just not sure if I'm gonna watch this review. And I don't mean that to say it because I don't like the content or the toy. You know why?
I know. I think people, if you've been keeping up with my content and you're watching this, I think you all know why too. Yeah. It's just yeah, I'm not gonna talk any further about it. But Zootopia is a good movie. It's it's like surprisingly deep movie about prejudice. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and also I've been watching a bunch of like I guess theory videos about what Doki Doki Literature Club or like behind the scenes stuff. It's like how the hell did this thing come to be? It's like I've been watching a lot of that, like fan content about that. So that's been fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I still recommend you check it out. That you play it.
Oh, Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah.
So you definitely dive into things pretty like it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
and a lot of the times it's obscure stuff too.
Yeah, it's just for some reason sometimes when I don't have anything to do, I just kind of like go deep in the internet, and then like I click one link after the other, and then somehow I end up like Devilman or Berserk. It's like
I started doing this thing where I started looking into Devilman stuff. Yeah, like people's review on it, which then tends to be like a backstory of Devilman,
like a retrospective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, it's always interesting to see new content on stuff that I've watched, especially. I think I've gone out of my comfort zone in content on YouTube, just kind of trying to search for new stuff.
Yeah.
I know earlier you were talking about the whole Black Panther Rotten Tomatoes fiasco, which I didn't know about until you brought it up. Yeah. I don't know if it's like blowing up on Twitter or how you heard about it.
Yes, I heard about it on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From both sides of the aisle too, where it's like some people are like this is dumb, and some people are like this is an outrage. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I follow like.
So do you want to give a why people are freaking out about it? Like why?
Well, I don't know exactly why people are freaking out about it, but I think it's safe to assume that it's for political reasons, man. Like if because I think for the first week of reviews, like the round of reviews, like it was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, Black Panther, and I guess someone just put a negative review and it dropped to 98, and then everyone was crying racism. It's like, well, I guess having an opinion is racism.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's no surprise. It's been like that for a while.
And that was on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Someone reviewed it negatively on Rotten Tomatoes that made it drop its score. Yeah, but you have your own issues with Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, first of all, it's the famous tomato meter. Yeah. It's not like a qualifier of quality. It's an aggregate of positive reviews.
Right.
So if you go through each of the individual reviews, some of them say that it's good.
Yeah.
Fresh. You know what I mean? It's like it's not an indicator of quality.
Right.
It's an indicator of how many people said a positive thing about the movie. Yeah. There really is no there's no room for I guess in between.
Right.
In between opinions. Okay. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. And like some reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, they get marked rotten even though they were like, it's okay.
Right.
So it's flawed from that aspect.
Yeah. I've honestly never really gone and read the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of the times I'll do this thing where I mentioned to you and the guys, I forgot when, but I mentioned to you about the whole Yelp, my whole Yelp dilemma. Yeah. Where I look up restaurants on Yelp, and if they have X amount of stars, I decide whether I'm going to go or not. But I tried to stop doing that just because I want to go firsthand and have my own opinion on the place and see if I like it or not. But and I do the same thing with Rotten Tomatoes, especially with new movies that I'm thinking about watching. I'll go on Rotten Tomatoes, and if the score is high enough, I'll go watch it, which is probably a bad thing to practice, because there are definitely movies that have not that great scores that I personally enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, personally for me that was Ant-Man.
Yeah, really.
I really liked Ant-Man, but it got like a 70 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's also weird to give movies scores.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
because like
subjective.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the concept of a score or even like a grade, if we're talking about like school, it implies that there's an objective measure to what's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it all comes down to personal taste. I mean, I personally know people who love Freddy Got Fingered, and that movie's terrible, in my opinion.
Freddy Got Fingered.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Never.
Okay, yeah.
That's just a funny title.
It's really dumb.
Yeah, which is also weird that they give awards like the Academy Awards, like that's to choose a winner in a category.
I don't think it's that strange for them to give awards, but it is strange that people they take the award as an objective measure of quality. Just because it has an award means like it's good.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that's the weird part. But the fact that they give awards is not that bad.
Yeah.
Because like I'm parroting an opinion from Red Letter Media, the movie review channel on YouTube. How they say it's the Academy Awards and like these award shows, they're basically just like industry parties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're industry parties. It's like in this field, this is what we recognize to be the best.
Okay.
And it's like the fact that it's televised is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because you don't see like this is like straight from them. It's like you don't see like the best bus driver awards or the best plumber awards.
Right,
it's like it's the same thing. It's just a field, an industry party.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's a good way to look at it, because I mean it's like my Super Bowl. Like I watch it every year. I sit down and just like this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
But I mean I don't know. It definitely does feel like it's like a big like Hollywood party, kind of like a giant circle jerk.
Yeah.
Like we're all successful. Yay.
Exactly. I mean like good on them. Like they have the right to do that, but it's like for people who kind of like going back to my point, like for people who just like take that as an objective measure of quality for a film, it's like it won an award, that means it must be good, right? Yeah. Suicide Squad.
Academy Award winning Suicide Squad. I'll never get over that. Yeah. I mean, since you brought up something that Red Letter Media said, I'm going to bring up something that a member of Funhouse said, that it's funny that how they give out awards, because the year Mad Max was nominated, was nominated for Best Director and Best Picture. It won all the technical awards, but didn't win Best Picture. If a movie wins a lot of technical awards, doesn't it technically mean it's like the best picture? Because it's really good in cinematography and editing, sound mixing, all this stuff. But it's not best picture. That's just interesting to me.
Well, did it get like best story or?
It got most of the technical ones. Like I'm pretty sure it won cinematography. I'm pretty sure it won sound mixing, set design, all that stuff, the costume design thing.
Yeah, I think how the Academy Awards are structured, I feel that they prioritize the more apparent features of the movie, like the story and the acting.
Yeah,
that's where the focus is on. Those categories. It's like people are not gonna go crazy for like best sound editing, but they will go crazy for like best actor. And yeah. So
that's true.
So like, moral of the story is it doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
I am part of the problem in that aspect. Because I do every time the Oscar list comes out, I try and go watch the movies that are nominated for Best Picture.
Nice.
A lot of the times, all the actresses that are nominated for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor are in movies that aren't even nominated for Best Movie. Sometimes there's some crossover, but a lot of the times it's just some other movies that came out that weren't nominated. Which is, I guess you could say it's the patriarchy, because a lot of the time that the movies where males are nominated for Best Supporting Actor and Lead Actor, they're usually in the movies that are
right. Cis white males. Yeah. Oscar's so white.
Exactly. Oh shit.
You know what category is like a complete catastrophe?
What's that?
Best Animated Picture.
Oh,
that's a complete disaster, because it's like how are you going to compare, like, I forget what year this was, but like there was a Charlie Kaufman movie that happened to be animated that was nominated for Best Animated Picture right next to fucking like what, Shaun the Sheep. It's like, what the fuck? That makes absolutely no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense, because like Best Animated Picture, it implies that animation is its own genre.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, animation is just the medium which they want to tell this story, and the stories are like completely different, you know? It's like, how are you gonna it's like, how are you gonna compare like this existentialist drama with Shaun the Sheep? Makes no sense.
Well, I think you'll be glad to know that Boss Baby is nominated this year.
No! For what reason? Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good thing to bring up, is that the animation category, they're just taking it for the actual animation of the movie, not the actual story.
That's a glorified technical award.
Yeah.
And like, I don't doubt that Boss Baby like looks good. I mean, like, I've seen the trailers, like the animation's fine, but it's budget. Like, as a movie, it's like, is it any good? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. It's fucking Boss Baby.
I'm curious. You haven't seen Your Name, right?
No.
I mean, that was a big anime film that came out in, now I don't want to. I think 2017. I want to say 2017. But I don't think it was nominated. 2016. I don't think it was nominated. I don't know how often anime movies are nominated for Best Animation.
But that's the thing. Does it count towards like Best Animated, because it's a foreign movie technically?
You're right.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be that's just weird.
But I'm thinking right now, if I don't know if I'm wrong, but like wasn't a Miyazaki movie nominated one year?
I would hope so.
Yeah, but then that's a foreign movie.
Yeah.
So
well, like, because then it begs to ask the question, like, does the animation take priority, or does the foreign of it take priority? I think the animation is the important part, not the foreign part.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it from the perspective of like, if it was like a live action movie, where it's like they wouldn't. I don't think they would nominate a foreign film for Best Picture, because it wasn't made here.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
That is kind of a shame, though.
Yeah. Because like we said earlier, it's like the Academy Awards and all these award shows. They're like an industry party specifically for like Hollywood.
Yeah.
So like they have a best foreign picture category, right? And that's specifically to like give like a little like
nod.
Give like props to like these people made movies that they're not part of it here, but they're still making movies. So we're gonna give them a little shout out.
I forget that it's like a Hollywood specific. That's where the circle jerk is.
No one's gonna fucking go crazy of like. Okay, maybe they would. I was gonna say like if like Hayao Miyazaki attended the Academy Awards, like that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be very. I mean, not that anime needs validation, but that'd be really validating for the craft.
Right.
I think, because I mean, people just have a really ridiculous view of anime. Yeah.
I think for animation in general, it's still kind of like getting a bad rep because
Why do you think? Because of the culture surrounding it, or because of
No,
just it's cartoons.
Yes, exactly. Just because it's animated, people expect a certain type of story from it. What's going on?
I'm sorry. I'm reading the Hayao Miyazaki did. Spirited Away was awarded the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. So it actually won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that kind of complicates things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think.
Oh.
Zootopia won 2016.
Hell yeah. Here's the thing. That's a good movie, I'm telling you. Here's the thing. For Spirited Away and for any like Miyazaki movie, it's distributed by Walt Disney Pictures.
Was it really?
Yeah. Like every Studio Ghibli movie is distributed by Disney.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I think that's what makes it like it qualifies it to be nominated.
There's a fucking loophole.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I forget that. But we're in 2018, but the awards are going to be for 2017. I forget.
Oh,
that.
right. Yeah.
But that, I mean, good for him. I
Yeah,
think if
good for
anybody
him, man.
deserves it, it's him.
Mm-hmm. He's a genius, man.
He is.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to like stick to the Academy Award talk, but like Miyazaki reminds me of something.
What's that?
Have you seen the documentary on Netflix about Ghibli?
Is it still on Netflix?
I think so.
I need to watch it.
Yeah, it's so good.
I need to watch it because I know
it's
we talked about that.
It's really I guess like eye opening towards like the process that goes on, or like how rough the workplace in Ghibli is. Like in no small part due to like Miyazaki himself, because he's a very serious man.
Yeah, he takes his craft very seriously.
Very seriously, yeah. And like he talks about
Kubo's on Netflix.
Oh shit, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think a lot of people don't realize that because I mean, I'm assuming that he actually animates a lot of the stuff too.
Oh yeah, he's like a key animator.
He's like directing and animating as well. That's to me the crazy part of it, is that he's not just directing the films. He's actually, he's literally putting his touch into the film.
And he's a very good artist. Amazing artist. Yeah. But he does have a team which they give recognition to in the film.
Right.
So.
That's why I think anime is so important, is because people don't realize how much effort and time goes into it. And talent, just like raw talent. I think you can boil down a film to steps. And without having any real talent, you can still make a film. You can point a camera at somebody, tell them to say these lines, and call it a film. But with animation, I think that is definitely a craft. Not that I'm saying good filmmaking is also a craft, but I think the barrier to entry in animation is a lot. It's a lot harder.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing about animation is that it can get away with being kind of like a shallow movie as long as it looks good.
Good, yeah.
Because it's like, if it looks good, then you know that a lot of work was put into it regardless.
Yeah.
But for my personal standard, as much as I love animation as a craft and all that, like if it's not a good movie, it's not a good movie.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why your name, I'm going to bring that up again, stood out to me so much, is the animation was just like such good quality, and the story also hit really well.
Right.
So it was just those two elements just work really well together.
Yeah.
And I think that might have been my biggest issue with Devilman, is that a lot of the times the animation just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
But their story is still there. So it's just like, oh man,
Yeah.
I want to like this more, but it's just like
Yeah, like for me, like for Devilman, like thinking about it now after the fact, there was a lot that could have been improved. At like I guess the alterations and the extensions to the story, some of them were kind of questionable in my opinion. But like when they stuck to the core story, it's good.
Worked.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Miyazaki thing, it reminded me of something else that I think you should check out. It's on YouTube too. I think. I saw it on YouTube. They might have taken it down.
Yeah.
But it's a mini documentary about Hideaki Anno.
Ooh,
And that's
interesting.
That is an interesting one. It's really heartfelt too. It's like it kind of, obviously it kind of goes through his process of like thinking about Evangelion, but it also kind of the setup is that he comes to like I think like an elementary school to teach them about animation.
Interesting.
And they kind of like interview him about his life. Like he goes back to his childhood town, and then like he's talking about like how like his time at Ghibli and his life story, how he was kind of like he was basically Shinji when he was growing up.
Right.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one.
Okay.
And he comes out in the Ghibli documentary
Does he really?
for a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It's like Miyazaki's friend, Hideaki Anno. It's like the famous creator of Evangelion.
Yeah, that's actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Animation is just so underrated. Sorry.
Oh yeah, definitely. Still, for as long as it's been around, like you would think that it would have a better reputation.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely improved for sure, but it's still kind of like overlooked.
Definitely has. I mean, it has a big following for sure. I just think it's people severely underappreciated. Yeah, especially with like animes. That there are animes out there that I think people they're really accessible. Like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo come to mind.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like those are influenced very heavily in Western culture. With the music and just especially the dub in Samurai Champloo is just
was like not only that, it's like a lot of these old like animes, like these classics, they actually influenced filmmaking in Hollywood. Yeah, like Steven Spielberg and James Cameron, they're known to be huge weebs.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been meaning to go back and watch both Samurai Champloo is actually on YouTube, on Funimation's official like YouTube.
Oh
page.
shit.
Yeah.
Is it still on Netflix?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because I watched it on Netflix with my dad. So yeah.
It's good.
It's good. It's one of those like dad animes. You can watch it with your dad.
And that's what I mean is I think those two animes specifically, they're very accessible to people who don't necessarily like anime.
Yeah.
But I think though they can appreciate those.
Like surprisingly was like a good anime to watch with my dad was One Punch Man. I finished it with him.
Bill Burr watched that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
there's something about that one that just it's wacky, but there's something about it that it's like people could get into it.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's because it's simple in a really good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I can explain it because I think it covers a lot of the, I guess, cliche anime tropes.
Yeah.
But it does it so well.
And I guess it works because it's like it's about superheroes, which is like a universal concept at this point.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Especially now we're just pumped with like superhero movies every year.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
I am super fatigued. Yeah.
That's what I was expecting.
I was really excited for the whole Infinity War saga, and now like I don't really care anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the last movie I watched in the franchise is probably Homecoming, which was good. Spider-Man is probably one of my favorite Marvel superheroes. But just like that those storyline they have going on is just like, oh man, I'm burned out. That's a lot of movies to watch.
Right.
Because I haven't watched Ragnarok yet, and I don't know if I'm going to. Probably it'll be one of those movies where I just comes out on like a Netflix or something, and I'll watch it then.
I would recommend it in that context.
Yeah. And I think I'm gonna end up going to watch Black Panther, maybe for sure Infinity Wars, because I want if they don't do something bold with Infinity Wars, I'm gonna be Infinity War. Sorry. I'm gonna feel.
Well, I mean, there is gonna be 2 parts, I think. So.
I think it's just one.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they just combine it into one.
Yeah.
I might be wrong about that, but that's what I read. If they don't do something interesting, if they don't take like a risk, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
I think that's really the main problem with the MCU is like the idea of risk. There's no more risk anymore. You know, they stick to a formula, and the formula is admittedly successful and entertaining.
Yeah.
But they stick to that formula.
Yeah.
Because that's what's guaranteed to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
There really is no. It's like. It's a juggling act between the art and the product. But for the MCU, like as it goes on, I feel like the product is slowly taking more priority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I definitely get that, especially with the movie this big.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, this is kind of like the double-edged sword with Infinity War. The concept of all your favorite toys in one toy box. It's like it sounds awesome. Like you're gonna want to see that for sure.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, like in terms of like financially, this is gonna be one of the most expensive movies ever made. Yeah. Not only because of like the special effects, but like the amount of actors. Exactly. The amount of famous actors that are gonna be in that movie, and that Disney is gonna want their investment doubled or something like that, and they put a ton of money in there.
Oh yeah.
So. With that being said, there's a high chance that it's not gonna, it's gonna play it somewhat safe because they want it to make money. They don't want to do something too crazy that'll drive people away from the movie. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I think they're justifying the simplicity of the plot and like the cookie cutter aspect of the plot by throwing bodies at it.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's okay that it's just a regular Marvel movie because look at all these characters that we have.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they tend to play with their toys very well. It's just that like you gotta change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, all we can do is like hope for that after Infinity War. But
if they don't do anything big with this, I might be done.
Yeah.
Because I think the big thing is that they're throwing a lot of money out at this and bodies at this, like it's a huge cast, huge plot, huge, but this almost seems like it's wrapping up a lot of the story. Like for sure they're gonna keep making more movies, but this is gonna be one of those big events that like I think this would be the best place to stop watching the Marvel movies, at least for me.
Right.
Because
if it turns out to be less than satisfactory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I don't. Because what are they gonna do? How are they gonna top this? They're just gonna throw more bodies at it. It's just like I at that point I had already watched that movie, and I don't. There's no point in me giving money to them again for the same product.
Here's a way that Marvel could top Infinity War: just make like different movies, man, because like fundamentally they're all the same movie.
They are. Well, Black Panther, for all the praise that it's getting, what's the enemy, Jobby?
It's the evil Black Panther. Fuck. Did I talk about this on the podcast?
I think you might have, but go ahead.
Well, yeah,
your
because like there's a common trend in like the MCU superhero origin movies where they fight an evil counterpart of themselves. There really is no like real attention paid to like the villain of the story. Yeah. It's an evil Iron Man. That's how the MCU started. Yeah. It's an evil Hulk. It's an evil Ant-Man. Yeah. And now it's an evil Black Panther. Oh, man. But I heard the villain in this movie is actually pretty good. It's Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
So,
see. Yeah. As soon as he got cast for that role, because I really like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. Mm-hmm. He's fucking phenomenal.
He is.
And as soon as he was announced in the cast, I was like, man, I really hope he's a villain. And I'm really glad he is, because I think it's going to change up just how he acts, because he's never the bad guy.
He's always the hero,
the protagonist,
the underdog.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really cool to see that. I mean, I think that reason alone, I'm gonna go watch the movie. It's just like, but man, they just gave him a suit.
Right.
That's what they did.
Yeah. It's so.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I mean, that might be in the comics. Sure.
I don't know.
But man.
Yeah, that justification for like the, I guess, some of the how can I call it, the weird stuff, I guess, in the Marvel movies, that justification, like, that was in the comics, I don't think it holds water anymore because it's an adaptation. When you're adapting like something like a source material, you can change it up for the sake of, you know, of making a good story,
Right.
because when you're like adapting a media into a different media, some compromises and some changes have to be made to accommodate that new media that it's adapting. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, when you're adapting a book, you're not going to get everything that you get from the book in a movie.
The pacing is completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're making it into a movie, you have to remember that it's a goddamn movie.
Yeah.
So you do what you can to the source material to make it a good movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, some adaptations, they miss that. Like Watchmen. Watchmen, I feel that it's fine as an adaptation, but sometimes it gets a little wordy. That's fine in a book because you're reading it at your own pace. But in a movie, it gets boring as fuck.
I don't want to get talked at the entire time.
Exactly. And it's like, same thing with anime from manga. You know, as much as I like My Hero Academia, there's some aspects of the show where it's like, you're a show. You can show things visually. You don't have to say it.
Text behind the character.
Exactly. It's like you don't have to like tell me what I just saw because I saw it in motion. You know what I mean? It's like in a manga, I get it because you know, you can't really like do complete motion in a manga, so you kind of have to like have the character say something to drive the point home that that's what happened. Right. In a show, a visual medium or like a animated medium, you don't have to do that. Just show it. Yeah. So it's like, adaptations, the culture around adaptations is kind of toxic because it's like, oh, we wanted to be so faithful to the source material, don't change anything. Yeah. But you have to change it.
It's not the same medium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's gonna be different.
So that justification where it's like, oh, I guess this evil Black Panther was in the comics, it's like, you could do better. Yeah. You can improve upon the source material. It's fine. It's not like, it's not sacred. I mean, it is sacred in some sense, where like if you keep the core story intact, you know, like what they did with Devilman. If you keep the core story intact, it's fine. But like, change it for the sake of it being a new medium. Right. Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, man.
I used to like, especially with the Harry Potter movies, I used to be very much like, now they missed a whole Quidditch match that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
One Quidditch match is good for a movie. That's how we don't need like two the whole season in the movie. Right. So I can agree with that sentiment, especially now when I've just kind of appreciated movies as a different medium compared to the books or whatever it is. But man, Marvel, you gotta try a little bit harder. Try a little bit harder.
No, but that's the thing. They are perfectly capable of doing better, like way better than they're doing right now. It's the financial reason. It's the economic reason where it's like they don't want to do that because it might ruin their chances of making back their investment, which sucks. It's bad for art.
It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, movies are still just a way of telling a story, and if the story is just like beating the bad guy, man, I've seen that done already. Yeah. I've seen that done because I mean you can play around with the themes all you want, but ultimately it's the story, it's the main story that counts.
Well, here's the thing about that. Like, I don't mind a story about beating the bad guy because I think that's just such a fundamental story that it's not going anywhere. Oh. But Marvel specifically has a formula that they follow. If they would just like, take themselves away from that formula, try something new, then I think it'd be fine. Like, it can still be about like, beating the bad guy fundamentally. Yeah. But how they do that, you know what I mean? Like that, I think that's what would count.
How they get to how they beat the bad guy, if that makes any sense. Because right now that Marvel has like a roadmap of like, we have to hit these points to get to the end, but they're just sticking to those points to get to the end. It's the journey to beat the bad guy that's what makes the story interesting. Yeah, I guess that's how I should have put it originally. Because that is true. I'm just thinking about like anime now. It's just like a lot of the times anime is about like beating the big villain. There's always a big villain. But the interesting part is like the journey to get to the big villain.
Right. Well, that's why Devilman stands out so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's Devilman's strongest point is like, fuck, it's a roller coaster to get to the villain, and then it's not your average like beat the bad guy story.
Yeah, definitely. It's something much bigger than that. Yeah. Where it's like the bad guy is us. It's like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest gripe with that is that so many different mediums can do it really well, like beating the bad guy. And shonen is a big example of like training to beat the bad guy or whatever, training to meet your goals.
Right.
But I don't know. A lot of the times the story is more interesting than the actual antagonist.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
Yeah,
because I think the era of the interesting antagonist is kind of over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like back then, I'm thinking about like Disney villains now. Disney villains are always so like they stand out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They stand out. They're enjoyable. Like you like them as a villain. You love to hate them. That kind of thing.
Right.
And they stick in your mind. And even like going back even further than that, like live action movies with villains, like Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah.
he stands
That's
out
like a
as an
personality.
antagonist. He stands out as an antagonist.
Yeah.
But now we're in the era, and I think this has to do with the MCU also, where it's like it's really hero focused.
Right.
There's really no, I guess, attention given to the opposing force. And I think that's what makes it less interesting. Because, to have an interesting hero, you need a significant, like, opposing force for them to fight. And if that opposing force doesn't get enough development, then the hero just becomes, like, less interesting. Like, a core part of their character is missing.
Almost like you can just plug in a different person into that position.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, of course. And that I think that's why the Dark Knight was so big when it came out, because like that villain was so interesting and intense and like, and well developed.
Yeah, I think that's indicative to Batman though too, because I think he has interesting villains. Just even taking an example from one of the newer animated Batman series, the one where I think it was like on Channel 5 with Clayman ended up like one of Bruce's friends, the black guy, ends up becoming Clayman.
The Batman, right?
Yeah.
Clayface.
Yeah, Clayface.
Yeah,
sorry, yeah,
like his cop friend.
Yeah. And that was an interesting thing to do. Like making a friend an antagonist is always interesting.
Right.
I think when I say this, and I get where you're coming from, like as having an interesting antagonist is always really beneficial to the story in general. But I think of shows like Evangelion where the antagonist it almost kind of takes a back seat to the characters' conflicts and how they react to the antagonist. I think that's the big part of Evangelion. Because the antagonist in Evangelion it's the monster of the week. They're there for that episode, and it's a completely different enemy.
Well, here's the thing about Evangelion and like stories like that. That's a really good point that you bring up. Like, I think the kind of story that I'm talking about right now is where the main goal is to beat the bad guy.
Right.
When your story is about beating the bad guy has to be like interesting enough that you want to see him get beat.
Right.
But Evangelion, it's a bit different. Evangelion's kind of like it's using the framework of we gotta beat the bad guy, like that kind of like shonen structure.
Yeah.
It's using that as a framework to tell a different story where it's like the main antagonist is actually self-doubt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a different kind of story.
Yeah.
So like I do agree with you, but like that kind of story, that's something that the MCU should do. You know
Honestly,
what I mean? Kind of like, because we've seen like the beat the bad guy story so much, so that maybe they could use like the beat the bad guy as a framework to do something else with it. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely one of Evangelion's strong points is that they don't. The monsters are cool, but they, like I said, they almost take a backseat to the conflict
between the characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like that to me. I mean, the monsters bring in really cool animations that come out from that show.
It makes it visually interesting.
Yeah.
It makes it like it's you can still enjoy it as like an action show, but
like whether you hate or like the characters, that comes from them interacting with each other and their struggles within that universe.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something that the MCU could do. Like I was gonna bring this up when you brought up the MCU, where it's like that. It's why I admire what 20th Century Fox is doing with their property. You know, like X-Men. Deadpool is completely different, but also like Logan.
Logan, I think, is a big, really big example of that.
Where it's like they're doing a movie that has these comic book characters in it, but they're putting them in like a different genre, and like they're committing to that genre. You know what I mean? It's that movie. Yes, it does have kind of like a comic book villain in there, but it's not about that. It's about like, you know, internal conflict. Yeah. I think that's something MCU could try out.
I think that might have been why I didn't enjoy Logan. I need to go back and rewatch Logan, because I think I went into Logan expecting like a Marvel, like really cool comic booky Wolverine, but I mean I wasn't expecting like a Western action thriller movie.
It definitely wasn't that. I think for me personally too, I guess I didn't like enjoy it as much as I would have, because I was also expecting something.
I went in with different expectations, which I probably shouldn't have. So I need to go back and rewatch the movie and like
well, when I think about it though, like I really do admire what they did, because they did something really different. Completely different. They committed to it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That show was that movie was really good about there was this really big thing in my English class. I think my senior year in high school was show, don't tell. That because there was the writing. I mean, there was writing in that movie, but the very little dialogue. And I think that movie did more with the visuals than it did with the actual dialogue, which I think works perfectly for that movie.
That's film's strong suit. Yeah, and that's what people, you know, that's what filmmakers should consider. Like it's a visual medium. Like use that to your advantage, because like a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
and there's for every second there's 24 pictures. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Picture's worth 1,000 words, and like a video's worth like 1,000,000.
Exactly. Yeah. Fuck. I really want to go back and rewatch Logan for that reason. Just to
me too.
Go back with a different lens.
Yeah. Now that we know what kind of movie it is, then maybe we can appreciate it as that kind of movie. It's definitely like a personal drama.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Oh man, I'd like to keep going, but I think that's a good place to. We definitely covered a lot of really cool things.
We did.
I'd hate to like muddle it with something that just like last minute that I thought of. So
yeah.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already. We want to see this channel grow 10,000 by the end of this year. We're almost
Hell yeah.
Almost there.
We're almost there.
Yeah. What else? Social media, description down below, and I'm gonna link all the stuff that we talked about as well in the description down below, as well as the brewery that we purchased the beer from that we enjoyed today on the podcast. And on that note, we will catch you guys in the next video.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.